All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Series here at Michigan International Speedway. 100 laps is our scheduled race distance tonight. Drivers right now just starting to put down their qualifying laps. Of course, the normal 5-minute qualifying time. I say other things to mention as we always talk about as well. One fast pair for the drivers. No green white checkers though. Again, they finished this thing with the Indy Series, so if we get a late yellow, that will likely end under caution. But it should be a lot of fun here at this big 2-mile oval here tonight. And say before we get too far along here, let's pull up our standings because they are tight at the front. You got Craig Forsyth with a 3-point lead over Nick DeGroot. Scott Rankin not too far out here as well, just 39 out. But you can see from fourth on back, it's kind of they're off in their own territory right now. Matt Wagner, I say it's a good fight for fourth on back though. Matt Wagner, Jeff Heisung, Jim Brooks, Yari Brupacher all right together, along with Alec Coates, Eric Peterson, Eric Schaus rounding out our top 10 in the points. However, I'll say we're going to be bring some new names, new faces on the track, but we're bringing some new names, new faces into the booth as well. So we're going to welcome over someone I get to race with every so often, but now he's going to hop in the booth with me, kind of get his feet wet with this. That's going to be Boomer Logan. So Boomer, appreciate you hopping over here, man. I know obviously we're more of the stock car type drivers, but it's going to be a lot of fun to give you a different view with these Indy cars going about 230, 240 here at Michigan.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, Gael. Looking forward to see these guys battle it out at 100 laps here at MIS. Should be a blast. And like you said, normally race more of a stock car guy, but it's always fun to see how these guys battle these Indy cars.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I say it's going to be obviously the big question mark with the Indy cars is kind of the momentum, the draft, the front driver. Can they just kind of live on the inside line, or is there going to be that outside line to get that momentum, be able to push on past? So I think that's going to be one of the storylines tonight. Of course, fuel mileage, I think the other one hearing probably around 25, maybe 30 laps on the fuel numbers. But we've seen before some of these drivers really like to get aggressive on their fuel savings. So we'll see if there's any strategy at some point. As always, caution potentials always can throw a wrench into some drivers' plans here tonight. And also got to, of course, mention here, definitely hoping that you get back 100% here soon, Steve. Miss you in the booth. But yeah, definitely look forward to get you back. But yeah, I'm not going to drag you back in before you're 100%, man. So get well soon and look forward to catching you back on track here soon, man. But yeah, so right now, though, Boomer still got about a minute and a half qualifying left to go. So for those that aren't aware, and I got to kind of fill you on some of the rules as well, what they have over here with Area 51. As we mentioned, one faster pair, no green-white checkers with the Indy Series. However, of course, the other series, they do have them. But bonus points, there's a lot of bonus points available for these drivers. A pole position, lap led, most laps led, of course, highest climber as well. So if you start towards the back of the field, have an option to gain a point that way. And of course, the big one as well, if you can have an incident-free race, that will also net you a couple of bonus points as well. So when you see it as tight as it is with those top three, every point's going to be crucial because we're down into the final couple of races here in the season. All right, we've got about 40 seconds or so. I'm looking on track right now. We definitely have some big hitters that waited late to put their laps down. I see the 89 of Nick DeGroot, Matt Wagner was on track as well. Yari Brupacher, Craig Forsyth, all putting down their laps right now. So I said, kind of always had that strategy. Do you want to jump early? Do you want to go late and try to get that big lap in? Track conditions could possibly change. Track could be cooling off a little bit, maybe catch that lucky cloud. So yeah, but right now these guys are just about to finish things up here, and we're about to get things underway in just about another 10 seconds, and we'll start to get our grid going.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how much track can change even over those 5 minutes. So sometimes waiting a little bit or going really early. Sometimes you catch that lucky break, like you said, with the cloud, cool off the track, get a little more grip, and run a faster lap.
Yeah, so we'll see what the right strategy was because we have just finished up our qualifying runs. So let's go ahead and take a look at our grid here tonight. All right, we're going to pull up our starting grid here for this evening, and it's going to be Craig Forsyth on the pole, about 100th over Yari Brupacher there behind him in second position. So let me try to get a good camera angle so we can take a good look at these cars here tonight. Say nothing wanting to cooperate with me per usual. That seems to be the way it goes. There we are. But next name, you got Nick DeGroot there in row 2, Jim Herrick, Eric Peterson, Matt Wagner, Scott Rankin, Charles Teed, Gary Corley, Alec Coates rounding out our top 10. Then you got Jack Walls and Jim Brooks 11th and 12th. Continuing on down here, then you got AJ Hobson, Brandon Briggs, Joseph Morales, Mike Gibson, Eric Schaus, Thaddeus McMurray, and Joseph DeCiro will be our 19 starters for tonight's event, as everybody's starting to get fully gridded up here tonight. So yeah, so again, 100 laps is the race distance, and I think it's going to be kind of a question of kind of track position, save fuel, kind of what the right strategy is going to be for these guys tonight. Of course, if and when get that untimely yellow could change everything, but easily a track that's going to allow us to see a lot of 2, 3, 4 wide racing if they choose to. Alright, so say try to double check the timing and scoring. Say it looks like, unfortunately, I don't know if YouTube maybe giving me a little bit of difficulties once again. Say noticing that the stream quality is kind of jumping around a little bit. So apologies, that's only so much I can do at this point. So hopefully it clears up here. Say everything looks correct on my side. So we'll just stay tuned and bear with us, and definitely keep if you're watching on YouTube, definitely let us know if things are improving or not. I'm not sure what's going on there, but you can see here comes the field rolling off of pit road here to try to get the warm-up lap started. As I see some guys a little more antsy to get going than others there as they start to roll down here through the front through the pit stretch here. Alright, so it looks like everybody has rolled off of pit road. So say now they're just going to kind of get fully up to speed, and then we will get things going here in just a moment. Again, initial start goes on, the flagman starts on green, and then any future restarts single file and also is controlled by our leader. So right now, Craig Forsyth, I'll say his best friend's going to be that inside line here, run that shorter distance as you're building up speed, but then he's going to have to watch his mirror in that number 27. As you know, he's going to have some hungry cars chasing down after him here, because again, the draft in these cars is enormous. Just the question is there enough momentum to shift to get them from behind that driver to in front of him to kind of maybe sneak down to the bottom lane before that turn. We've seen a lot of times they protect that yellow line here tonight, Boomer, but it's kind of hit or miss what's the right approach here for some of these tracks. So that's going to be, I think, the big question mark, is if that second lane is going to work as effectively as some of these drivers are going to hope for.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out in the draft. Definitely the bottom of the track, obviously the shortest and quickest way around. If you can get that draft and make that pass on the outside, it'll make it more exciting for sure.
So you see the flagman here holding the green flag up in the air, ready to get things kicked off. And then once he drops the flag, we are down and away. There's the green flag, and we are underway. You see everybody fanning out quickly as we get to green here. Craig Forsyth's going to lead the field there. Gary Brubacher still staying to his outside, but Nick DeGroot's going to try to see if he can take advantage here through 1 and 2. Yeah, so there it is right there. Craig protecting that white line and saying, no, actually, we got a quick yellow here.
Spin in the back.
Yeah, looks like Eric Schaus, and car looks okay though, so might actually be kind of one that you get away with a little bit. Looking to see if anybody else, maybe some involvement or any damage to their machines. Everybody's looking pretty good, so I think as a whole it's gonna work out pretty well. So obviously not what Eric Schaus wanted to have there. The other thing to note, of course, with that is that spin, of course, going to cost that incident-free situation for him, so he's going to unfortunately not get those bonus points. But let's go back and try to take a look to see what exactly happened to Eric. And the one thing that I see right off the bat there, Boomer, is he was straddling that first seam there. Left's underneath it, then the right's to the outside of it. And again, these cars are very sensitive with that kind of the differentiation and banking. And there is a little bit of banking difference here at Michigan from that very bottom lane to that second groove. That, I think, cold tires, plus, of course, being a little lower on fuel, I think that could be a little bit of a danger there, as Eric actually got real close to the inside wall. Not sure if he touched it or not, but definitely was pretty much flirting with it there out of turn 2 once he was sliding back to the infield.
Yeah, it's hard to tell after he got turned around if he just gassed it up and came off the wall or if he made contact, but it looks like it doesn't have a ton of damage. So hopefully a lucky break for him early here, just a spin and maybe a new set of tires that are flat spotted, or to replace the flat spotted tires, and should be good to go.
Yeah, so now the question mark is going to be, does anybody think about hitting pit road? And the answer is yes. Scott Rankin's going to be the first of those to hit pit road. As a no surprise, obviously, for Eric Schausen, saying that's the other thing too, is there's no tire limits here, so might as well take advantage of tires if you had that spin like Eric did. So he'll be able to get some fresh rubber on. And I mean, we've seen sometimes a bad situation actually can wind up being a benefit for you. So maybe these guys, again, this caution here, these guys are going to be trying to play some fuel mileage here if they get the opportunity. Maybe just try to stretch that fuel and turn this typical, we believe, a 3-stopper race. Again, we were talking about the fuel mileage being around 2330, maybe, or 2530, I'm sorry. Maybe they try to stretch it to, let's say, 33 or so on a tank. And of course, now even a little bit less with that caution here. So could see some strategy here early on.
Yeah, definitely. If you can manage to stretch that out and get a couple laps under yellow here to help, you can definitely turn that 3-stop into a 2-stop race.
And I'll say, looking at Eric Schaus rolling off pit road, it was a longer stop. These Indy cars, of course, usually a 4-tire stop, usually about 7, 8, 9 seconds. 24-second stop for Eric there, so not sure. Maybe some damage repairs, or maybe he was just checking to see maybe what happened. So a lot of drivers like to go step out of the car real quick, take a look at the replay, and see if they could figure out what happened. The other thing that usually these cars do, though, is I believe a rear wing replacement takes about 10 to 15 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. I think front wing's about 5 seconds. So we talked about that potential contact with the outside wall, or the inside wall, I should say. So maybe a rear wing replacement with him. Let's say, but if that's the case, though, hopefully that repairs it, because that would save him a fast repair, which is always a good break to have with these Indy cars.
Yeah, he seemed to have a wing coming into the pits. Didn't seem like there was a ton of damage to it, but who knows? Obviously taking some time there to make sure he's all set and ready to go.
Yeah, and these guys are making their intentions clear here. Joseph DeCiro, Scott Rankin coming back in, I believe, just going to take that little splash of fuel, just put that little bit more in. Again, with these cars, though, they have all those field maps you can play with, so would suspect to see all these leaders most likely in Map 8 just basically saving as much fuel as possible under this caution. And then, of course, once we get back to green, of course, Craig Forsyth, he's going to have to go full rich and just run this thing as hard as he can. But does importantly, he gets the lap lead under his belt, so that's already done and over with. And now he can just try to focus on the rest of his race to try to kind of capitalize and get the best results he can. So, yeah, so what's going to happen here, though, of course, is that single file restart, Craig Forsyth, he's going to have control of it. And it's going to be up to Jari Brubacher to try to be quick on the draw to react to that green flag and to that number 27 car, depending how early he chooses to go. Because once that pace car's off the racing surface, it's pretty much fair game for that 27 to roll when he's ready.
We'll see how they handle this restart here. Looks like we got our lights off in the pace car. We're ready to go.
Yep, lights are off, and so this is where Craig has that control. And as you can see, everybody's up on the very wall here, just wanting to make sure you, because you can't pass on the inside before start finish line. You'll get a penalty for that. Say outside line, say just per iRacing rules is pretty much fair game here. So say you see Craig Forsyth waiting, deciding when to go. Now he drops and goes a little early, not as early as he could have gone. But say this is where you see already them snaking, trying to break that draft here, because this is when the leader's at his most vulnerable here as the second car gets that big run down the back.
Yeah, he definitely got a good jump out there out front, but they're going to be catching him, especially as they exit turn 2 here. Looking for them to catch him all the way down the back stretch into 3.
Yeah, and you can see, again, straight to the apron there out of turn number 2, try to break that draft. And I think it may have worked perfectly, because you see there Jari was able to get to him, but not until the exit of, or the entry, I should say, of turn 3. But now he's going to try to steal a little bit of draft here. He's going to peek to the outside. But so we talked about the shorter distance, and at the line, Craig's going to hold on to it. So now we'll see how they do through turns 1 and 2.
You'll see if Jari can get that extra bonus point for leading that lap.
That momentum's working. He actually clears that 27 car. He's going to jump to the inside, and this is where Craig now, he's going to be stuck in some pretty dirty air there behind that 49 car. And you see he had to wash up. That drops him behind Nick DeGroot. Now Nick jumps up to second, and yeah, Yari's going to grab a bonus point here right off the bat. And say Nick wasting, I think Yari wanted to just get that lap lead, and you see he jumps to the top side, lets Nick go in down low. Not sure if that's strategy or if that's just Yari saying, okay, I got my lap lead, you go on ahead, but he's holding strong here on the outside.
That outside line's definitely got momentum right now.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's going to be good. That's going to promote some very exciting racing. You see Jim Herrick, he's hopped onto this train as well. Matt Wagner right there behind in 5th. So yeah, so I mean, I think this opened up some opportunities for these guys. They can maybe jump around a little bit more, not just feel like they're committed to the inside line, as Craig's going to peek to the outside of Yari here through 1 and 2. But yeah, this is going to promote some pretty fun racings. I think Yari had to roll out of it there because Craig just steamed by him there off of turn 2. Nick DeGroot as well. So, and there's Nick. He's going to do the over-under down the back.
Almost looking 3 wide into 1 there. They're definitely getting pretty racy. It's fun to see more than one line working tonight so far.
Yeah, so Michigan Auto Club to me are kind of the tracks that I think put on some of the best racing with these cars. Of course, then you have to throw Pocono and Indianapolis in it as well. I think the long straights here really promote that option of really being able to be racy with these cars. So it's going to be fun to see what they can do over the course of this fuel run. As you can see, everybody's, again, just doesn't matter where on track. These guys are all jockeying around for position. And again, I think some trying to get that bonus point. Some are going to be thinking fuel mileage. Say we talked about those drivers that topped off on that one to go. Scott Rankin was the first of those that came out as he's working on trying to work over Eric Schaus here. But say right now sitting in about the 17th spot, so not where he wants to be track position wise, but I think he's thinking big picture. If this thing can go green, but I am seeing those a little bit of a breakaway from about top 10 on back. You see Gary Corley, he's on the back of this tail of this pack. But then you got about a second back to Charles Teed, so Charles is going to have to try to hustle up here to try to catch back to that main pack here, but is still in that draft window. These cars leave a pretty big wake, usually about a second and a half or so roughly. You'll still be getting a tow.
As I say, that second pack back there, maybe saving a little bit of fuel early on, maybe not. Looks like they're starting to march a little bit forward. They might be catching up to the back of the top 10 here.
Oh, close there out too between the 51 and the 6. It looked like Jim, I think, had to roll out of it just a little bit to make sure Matt Wagner was able to get that exit. But saying you can see, I think we're starting to see some driver's preference here as well. I think Jim's looks like he's enjoying the rim riding here, running that third lane. Actually gets to the outside of Matt Wagner here, and I think he's going to take that momentum plus the draft here to try to sneak around that number 6 machine. And so he's got the nose ahead, and he does clear him, so move Jim now up into the 6th position. Right now, actually, our highest climber here with 6 positions gained thus far in the race. As actually now works over Eric Peterson. Next turn around there, so now move him up into the top 5. So that 51, he's making a move here, and I think maybe these guys talk about fuel savings. I don't think that 51's doing any of that.
Yeah, you can start to see people already maybe even playing their hand, or showing their hand, I should say, just to see what they're going to try and do strategy-wise. You know, obviously if you're pushing, I think you're definitely going to be counting on 3 pit stops here, but if you're leaning back, you're looking to try and squeeze it to 2.
Yeah, I feel like those that could maybe pull a 2-stopper off, I feel like you would have had to have pitted under that caution just to have that little bit of extra fuel. But yeah, I think these guys, some of these guys are just saying, you know what, I want to let it play out how it does. I just want to race. So I'm saying I think that's what we're seeing out of that 51. I'd say I do have a suspicion that, like I said, Mike Gibson, he looks pretty content right now, just kind of cruising here right outside the top 10 there. And so he's the first driver that did hit pit road who's on track right now. And then again, those drivers that topped off just a few spots behind him with Thaddeus McMurray, Eric Schaus, Scott Rankin topping off in that one to go. Just has to roll out of it just a tiny bit there to avoid contact with that number 50 of Charles Teed. We're going to jump back up front here because right now Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth, Jim Brooks, they're trying to see if they can stretch the way just a little bit here from Yari Brubacher. And you can see, and this is another thing that we've talked about before with these Indy cars. What you see right here, this is these guys trying to work on the leapfrog approach, is what I call it, where the second driver will get the draft, he'll jump around the leader, and then they'll kind of keep repeating that basically either every straightaway or every other straightaway, and just lets the pace of the race continue to stay fast here because, of course, these cars you can't bump draft and can't push one another. So this is really the best way for these Indy cars to make a little bit extra speed and just to keep the pace of this race up, maybe forcing the hand of those guys further back to kind of run them out of fuel, out of that potential fuel saving strategy.
Yeah, we can see Craig Forsyth here keeps leapfrogging Nick into turn 1 and 2, and Nick will get that toe down into turn 3 and 4 and take the lead back and lead the lap. So.
And you can see the teamwork between the two of them, and honestly, I was going to say usually the third car is a part of that too, where usually that third car kind of just will roll out of it and let them stay 2 by 2. But I think Jim's got other plans in here. I think he wants to try to be a mix in this as well. But you can see with him doing that, it forced Craig to stay up on the outside line. Wasn't able to get to Nick now until the very end of the straightaway here. So it's like usually you'll see the front 2 cars do this leapfrog. The third car will just kind of stay in position, just really kind of ride behind them. And I think this actually would be a good opportunity for Jim to just maybe save a little bit more fuel here. Just run that map maybe 3 or whatever you can get away with. As now he's going to work to the top side here. I think just try to get that clean air on the front wing of his machine. But yeah, there's a lot of strategy calls of how you want to run these races here. As you can see, there's Craig. He gets that huge run. He's going to drop low, and then we'll see if Jim's going to try to follow. You can see he's lifting out of it now. I think he's kind of caught on to I think the way that he feels like it's going to be best for him. And if he doesn't have pressure behind him, which right now is Jari Brupacher, I think this is honestly probably one of the catbird seat spots to be in this race. Is just cruise behind these guys, let them do the hard work, and kind of you take the benefit of it, let them burn that fuel, and you keep saving a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. It is something to say for the strategy of Nick and Craig trading back and forth, but who knows, Jim may want to get up there and try and see what he can do to put himself in the mix of being in the top 2. You never know, it could pay off. Try some stuff here at the beginning of the race and see what you can do at the end.
Yeah, so the one thing that he does have going for him is with him where he is, he should be able to save a little fuel, which should then allow him to run at least a lap further than those guys. I would assume. Obviously, don't take my word for it, but I would feel like he should be able to save a decent amount of fuel to do so. Obviously, burned a fair bit of fuel to get up into that top 3 position from starting 12th. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then again, the guys that all topped off, though, I'm seeing definitely a lot of patience. I say right now, the one I'm really kind of focused on to me is Scott Rankin, one of the first that topped off. And I was saying Scott's usually one of these wily guys. He likes to go off strategy if he doesn't have the track position, or if you get into that potential window of the fuel mileage. However, though, they're in a tough spot here, though, because right now they're working on Charles Teed, and Charles has kind of lost that pack up front here. So again, we talked about the draft window. It's about a 1.2 seconds between, I think it's Jack Walls and Charles Teed right now, or actually at the moment Eric Schau's trying to work over him. So that's the danger of backing off too much and saving fuel, because if you lose that lead pack here, that could put them in a tough spot, and then kind of eliminates again that potential for them to save that fuel.
Yeah, they definitely have a few friends in the back there to draft around and help, but definitely want to be in that lead pack, because that lead pack, more cars, definitely cuts a bigger hole through the air, and as a group you can move a lot faster through the track, around the track, I should say.
Yeah, exactly right. And that might be where these guys look like they're actually having to do the same approach that we just talked about, like the leaders are doing, kind of do that leapfrog approach. So we'll say, well, I'll watch their lap times, because right now, again, they're still about 1.3 off the back of, I believe it's Thaddeus McMurray right now, the last car in that draft. There's a little bit of bobble there off on the backstretch from a couple cars there, but looks like so far still so good. But again, we talked about the fuel window here. If these guys are going full aggressive, let's say we're already about to start lap number 23. So based on that, I mean, with the yellow, of course, give them a little bit of margin, but might be seeing pit stops in about the next 5 laps or so for these guys we suspect to be the first of 3 scheduled stops.
Yeah, it's interesting to see back there, because it looked like Eric Schaus and Charles Teed were running side by side more so than what you see at the front of the pack, where DeGroot and Forsyth are going back and forth, not necessarily always staying side by side. So you can see how the guys up at the front know what they're doing to move around and keep that air flowing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of changed now, because now it's Scott Rankin that's starting to do the leapfrog with Eric Schaus. Say Charles Teed's actually fallen off a little bit on these guys as well. I'm wondering if he might have some damage that we didn't catch, because that car just seems like it's not able to hang onto the toe very well. Maybe a little bit of damage to the side of that car at some point that we may have missed, because it just doesn't look like the pace is there. But what Scott and Eric have done is they have been able to get into that draft window of those cars in front. But again, this is forcing them to burn that fuel. So right now, really, to me, the car that's been able to kind of be in the catbird seat on fuel savings with that pit stop has been that number 5 of Mike Gibson, who's still in this lead pack here, although he's starting to drop off a little bit too of those guys in front. So I'm thinking that Mike here trying to get a little more if he can. And so I think these guys behind him are starting to see that interval, and so you get nervous when you start to see a handful of car lengths between you and that car in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. If you're going to play that the long strategy or the longer fuel strategy by saving a little bit more, definitely want to balance between wanting to stay up with the front pack and staying in the draft versus making sure you are saving enough fuel. So it's kind of that balance. You know, mentally you see cars pulling away from you and you think that's not a good thing. I want to be up in that lead draft. But if your overall plan is to save and you know, to make sure you have the fuel at the end, maybe you need to let them go at some point.
Yeah, so yeah, you're exactly right. Let them do the work, and you just kind of roll out just a little bit, tack onto the back, and let them go again. But I'm saying we do have a few pit stops starting to kick off here. Jack Wall's actually one of the first to hit pit road. Jack actually, he's usually kind of Mr. Fuel saving the 83 car, so a little surprised to see him as one of the first leaders to hit pit road. Another driver we were just watching there for a moment, there was the 4 of AJ Hobson. He's also now gained 4 positions, working his way towards the front here as well. So these guys are starting to make moves a little bit forward, and it's kind of that strategy of when do you want to try to make that big push to the front here. We'll see. I think Nick DeGroot, he's just about to hit pit road. Here he comes. So he's hitting pit road at lap number 27. They're coming to 28. And as now it's going to be Craig Forsyth. And that this is where now that leapfrog is going to have to switch over here. I suspect we'll see that 50.
There's a spinner. Looks like we got a spinner down the front stretch.
Oh yeah, 00 there, Brandon Briggs. Oh, heavy damage as well. He takes a tow, so we will stay green. That could have actually been perfection there for Nick DeGroot with a caution while he was on pit road, but unfortunately for Brandon though, that puts him taking a pretty lengthy tow there. As here comes Craig Forsyth, he's going to hit pit road for his scheduled stop, which will now cycle the lead over to Jim Brooks, and now he and Jari Brupak are again going to kind of continue that leapfrog approach that we just been talking about. Say Charles Teed actually coming in with Craig as well in that 50, so that's now 4 of our drivers here scheduled pit stops under green. So say now this is where I'm going to start watching closely those guys who are saving. Again, I think they need to get to, especially with that green flag the caution flag pit stop. I think these guys ideally, if they can get to like 35, that to me says all right, that's the window. But here comes Jim Brooks. He hits pit road, also bringing Alec Coates and who's that also with him? Joseph Morales along there as well. And Thaddeus McMurray. So we got 4 hitting pit road at lap number 30, as now Jari Brupak are starting to sneak away a little bit from those guys behind him.
We got an interesting comment here from Brandon Briggs. He actually disconnected. It looks like it might have been an internet issue. So unfortunate happening there for him. But he looks like he'll be retired for the day.
Oh man, a big moment there for Jari Brupak. Actually almost wrecked on pit entry there. Somehow kept the car straight, and somehow caution did not fly. But we stay green, as you can see. Now you got Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot actually unlapping themselves here. You saw Jim Brooks there just trying to roll out of pit road here. So right now that's put Jim Herrick on the point here in that number 40. So we'll see. And I think again here, if you're these guys that are now waiting to make your first pit stop, I think you let these guys run hard here and burn their fuel off, as here comes Jim Herrick. Actually, we've got a whole bunch of drivers hitting pit road, almost like 4 more of them. So I think this is going to complete the cycle here. And I mean, I think this is our answer right now, though, Boomers. None of these guys are going to be able to make this on a 2-stopper because they're already in at 31 with the savings and that green flag pit stop. So right now, advantage is definitely going to these 2 right here of Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot, with Jim Brooks on the outside looking in. The question is, can he hook back up with these 2? But I think right now, they're leapfrogging. I think that pace is just too good. I don't know if that 51 is going to be able to tag back on him. He's going to have to run some pretty much qualifying laps right here.
Yeah. Interesting to see here. Looks like we might have Jari Brupak actually coming back to pit road. He looked like he might have actually gotten a little loose on pit exit and come up onto the track surface before the pit exit line. So it looks like he might be serving either a pass through or it might
be a stop and hold then. Yeah, it looks like he's coming to his pit stall. So yeah, so that's a huge a huge hit for Yari. As I'm watching lap times here as well, Boomer, and right now Craig and Nick, they just ran 32.56s. However, Jim Brooks 32.19, so he is picking up their draft, and he has just been able to hang on by the skin of his teeth here. So I think Jim's going to be able to grab back onto these guys. And same thing behind him, Jim Herrick is trying to do everything he can to maybe make this a 4-car pack up front here. So this is the possibilities of where things really spread out. And it was a great pit stop by the 89 and the 27 cars, the 51 as well, able to get in and out quickly. And what this is then, yeah, is actually as Jim right there puts down the fastest lap of the race there, 32.10, as now he is comfortably in the window here with those guys in front. So now he can kind of relax a little bit and say, let these guys continue to let them do the hard work here, because this actually could put Jim in a really good spot here. If this race by chance stays green, I mean, it's still a lot of racing to go. Obviously, just hit the pretty much the 3rd mark here. They'll be burning the more fuel than Jim, so that last pit stop, he could take a little bit less fuel than those guys. Maybe shorten his pit stop up and maybe see if he can maybe turn it into a race between him and maybe ideally just the one of the two of them.
Yeah, it worked out well for Jim Brooks. Obviously, he was a couple tenths, maybe up to 3 tenths faster the last couple laps there to catch up to our leaders, Nick DeGroot and Craig Forsyth. Obviously, didn't work out as well for Jim Herrick. He's still back there about 2 seconds back, so he did not manage to grab that draft off of Jim Brooks to stay up there.
Yeah, so that being said, though, Yari Brewpocker's penalty could be a blessing in disguise for Jim Herrick here, because now he's got a drafting partner, so he can work, and you can see, yeah, there they go. They're going to start working on that tandem draft here with one another. They're going to try to see if they can leapfrog themselves back up. So then we have to drop another 2.5 seconds back to pretty much the pack, if you will. You got AJ Hobson, Eric Schaus right there, Alec Coates, Eric Peterson's in this mix as well. We talked about Mike Gibson. He's right there as well in that number 5. Jack Walls is there. I mean, you pretty much have from about, if I'm not mistaken, about 5th position down to about, I think, 16th here are in this pack. So we did have a few drivers that had a pretty rough pit stop. Matt Wagner, notably one of them, in the 6 had a 12-second stop. Usually, again, these guys in the 8-9 second range. So honestly, Matt probably just lucky to be in this pack here, not on his own here. So I say Matt having a good opportunity. And then watching lap times right now, pretty even between these top two, and with Jim Herrick back in 4th. It was a 32.57 last by for our top 2 drivers, a 32.60 for Jim Herrick. So not losing ground, but not getting ground. But we got a crash on the backstretch here, though. Jack Walls and Mike Gibson. Caution is out. So that's going to change strategy completely for everyone here. So unfortunately, so you can see these two trying to find their way back to pit road. Jack looks like he should be able to do so. Mike Gibson, not as much. He's got some pretty severe suspension damage. He's going to have to take a tow, it looks like. So let's go back and see what happens. This was around that second pack that we were just talking about.
It's hard to see. Almost looks like even a little bit of net code. But,
yeah, that's definitely not a surprise. Unfortunately, with the way these cars, Indy cars are very sensitive to that net code. So we'll take a look here as they come out of turn number 2. You see the 5, you see the 83, you see a lot of space between them.
Yeah, definitely some contact between Jack and Mike there, unfortunately.
Yeah, saying that's, yes, you see Mike going up in the air. So we'll back it up one more time here to see. Yeah, it just looks like a little bit of movement. Like I said, just unfortunately, just a little mistake of saying it might be just also these drivers trying to fight for the draft there. And yeah, it just kind of looked like each moved a little bit, meet in the middle, and then unfortunately just doesn't end well for either of them, unfortunately. So so you see a great job by everybody behind. They just duck straight to the left to avoid them, as it took about half the straightaway for them to get unhooked from each other there as well. So we'll jump back live here. So this is a big break, though, I believe, for Yari Brewpacher. This will get him one of his 2 laps back after that pit penalty we had mentioned. Should get the wave around here, so he'll be back to 1 down, as I believe we'll probably see the whole field here hit pit road. We got some hesitations, and not quite everybody. Jim Herrick's going to stay out, but other than that, looks like only about 1 other driver. So we got Jim Herrick and Gary Corley, and it looks like the rest of the field here. So we got 2 drivers staying out here, and the rest are going to hit pit road. So while we're under caution, we'll step away for just a moment, and we'll get back here on the 1 to go. So stay tuned, everyone. All right, lights are off of the pace car. And so, yeah, so right now, we talked about during the pre-race, the potential of fuel strategies and timing of cautions, and this is exactly what we're talking about, Boomer. This caution comes out at 60 to go, or just outside of 60 to go, but now we're in that 60 to go window here, 59 on the green. So we had two drivers stay out, Jim Herrick, Gary Corley. They will have to two-stop it, no doubt. I don't know. This is gonna be that risk versus reward gamble from pretty much third on back here. We did have a handful of drivers top off once again. Joseph Morales, Scott Rankin, Charles Teed, and Joseph DeCiro. And like we mentioned as well, Yari Brubacher getting one of his 2 laps back. So yeah, this will be fun to see what the call is going to be for some of these guys on the strategy should we stay green.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of get like almost a clean slate here for everyone except for Jim Herrick and Gary Corley, who are all even on the fuel strategy as it sits.
Let's see the flagman say again, this is where Jim Herrick, he's got control, decides how early or late he wants to go. As you see, he is down and away there. You see the flagman waving. Now he's going to throw. Oh, we got contact in the back there. Saw, I think it was Charles Teed and Scott. I believe that was Scott Rankin that may have made contact there on that initial start. I would suspect, I mean, I saw that car bounce a little bit even, so I'm a little nervous about those two. We'll see if their cars have any pending damage. But quick work, though, for Nick DeGroot was ready for that restart. He's already gotten around Gary Corley. Again, this might be one of those kind of the rabbit in the hare here. I don't know if Nick wants to be up front here. I think ideally you want to be that third car on that in line here just to try to save max fuel, but keep that track position if you can. But as I said, yeah, Nick, there's no fuel saving going on that 89. He's dropped and he's down low. He's got the lead here, as now it's going to be Jim Herrick there in second, Gary Corley in third. Oh, Jim Brooks, Craig Forsyth, they side by side here off of turn number 2. Jim on the outside, Jim on the inside, Craig on the outside. I say you see again everybody trying to find that clean air on the front wings of their cars, and I think looks like Craig's going to for the moment keep that momentum on the top side, and will hang on to that 4th position here. I'm a little surprised these guys as aggressive as they are here, Boomer. Yeah,
that'll be a good battle to see, because as soon as if there isn't a fuel strategy split between Gary and Jim up there in the front, the next 2 guys that'll be coming back to the leader will be Craig and Jim here. So whoever can make it back up to Nick DeGroot here might be the top 2 that end up swapping spots back and forth. So. Yeah, I mean, Jim Brooks to get back up here.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of honestly, this is where I would be. I would kind of be wanting to let that other person go. To be completely honest with you, I'd want to let them fight it out, and just again save max fuel right now if you can in these cars. You see, Jim is so close. They're off of turn number 2 to Gary Corley there. Gary kind of had to give him the room there. So say right now, it doesn't look like much fuel saving going on with those top 2. As now you got Jim Herrick back to the front, Jim Brooks working on the outside of Nick DeGroot. So yeah, so right now not a lot of fuel savings going on with these guys right now. I really thought we'd see more drivers just kind of in cruise control. One driver that I know is a really good fuel saver when he chooses to be is that 72 of Eric Schaus in the Hot Wheels car. But right now it's not going to matter. As soon as I talk about him contact, yeah, wreck. Gary Corley got aero washed up right into right into Eric Schaus, I'm sorry. And so that sends both those cars up into the wall, back under yellow here. And that's going to kind of, I think now that fuel mileage is going to be completely thrown out of question.
Yep. Luckily, just the 2 of them there, it looked like.
Yeah, it just looked like
did a pretty good job of sticking around away from him.
Yeah, it just looked like, unfortunately, I think just Gary got tight there on that inside line. Not sure if he had aero wash or not, so we'll take another look at it here as we pick up the speed here as they head into turn number 1. So you can see there's Eric Schaus to his outside, and as they come out of turn number 2, is just, unfortunately, like I said, just contact between the 2 of them here. And yeah, I mean, you can see right there, you see all those cars right in front of that 7. That car just won't turn, and unfortunately, there's just nothing he can do until he gets into the side of that 72 car. And then you mentioned everybody else avoiding. That's a close call for that number 4 of AJ Hobson. He has to make a sharp left to try to get around that. And then, yeah, everybody else should be in a little bit of a safer spot here to get through there. But yeah, big winner on this one, though. Once again, though, going to be Yari Brubacher. He actually goes just a mile off track, make sure nothing gets anywhere near him there to be involved in that incident, as that's going to put him back on the lead lap here. And it looks like Field's heading back to pit road.
Yep.
So I think at this point now, I mean, again, we're going to be restarting just outside of 50 to go. So yeah, so I think this is probably a telltale that these guys will be good to go to the end on fuel. Did have one driver stay out here, Charles Teed. I was a little nervous about Charles, though, because like I said, I think I saw him have some contact on that restart with, I believe it was with Scott Rankin. So a little surprised to see him stay out here, to be completely honest. To say Yari, he's already gone around the pace car here and to get back on that lead lap. And unfortunately, with him staying out here, you see right here that 5 of Mike Gibson was probably hoping that he'd be able to get that wave around, get one of the 2 back on the 1 to go. But he's going to get trapped here. And a lot of pit strategy here as well, actually, Boomer, because I'm looking at pit lane time, or pit stop time, I mean, and I'm seeing 4-second pit stops for Nick DeGroot, Craig Forsyth, Alec Coates, and Thaddeus McMurray to jump themselves up into the top 5, which drops a few drivers a fair bit back now who took tires there. So say it's going to shake up the running order just a little bit here, and I like the strategy. It was a short fuel run, short fuel run there. So I mean, tires probably not hurting at all. So a good opportunity for Alec there and Thaddeus to try to gain a couple of spots here.
Yeah, looking at the running order, looks like Jim Brooks is back to 9th from 3rd. A few other cars have lost a few spots as well. I think Craig dropped back a few spots, like you said, as well. So interesting to see how it shakes out here.
Yeah, and I don't suspect we'll see really anybody top off on this one to go. Maybe if there's somebody at the very back of the field here. Like, I think, honestly, if Yari's a fair bit back. Actually, Jim Brooks is going to top off here. Maybe decided, hey, I already lost enough track position. What's a little bit more? So he's going to put a little more fuel in here. Maybe it allows him to be that little extra aggressive on this fuel run. Because, I mean, I was hearing it was 25 was kind of on the edge of full aggression for a normal race run. So if he can get just that little bit extra, maybe it'll benefit him as well. So what's going to happen, though, is Charles Teed, though, he's going to take the point in that 50. Again, though, I think he's on the edge of making it on a one-stopper. I think, though, everybody else from second on back should be pretty solid here.
Yes, we had Jack Walls, Joseph Morales, Joseph DeCiro, and a couple others take that little bit of extra fuel.
Yeah, I think it's worth a gamble. Yari Brubacher, he did wind up topping off as well in that 49. So I say the big thing for him is getting back on the lead lap. And then the lucky dog battle here. Right now, Mike Gibson, he's still 2 down, is on track. Eric Schau still sitting on pit road. Actually, no, he's rolling off now. So they will be battling for that position, because if they can get one of the 2 back, then they should be in the catbird seat for that next one as well if we get 2 more yellows here. So let's say we're going to restart this one just outside the halfway point of this race. Going to start lap number 50 that next time around. Then we'll hit the halfway mark. So it's going to be Charles Teed here leading Nick DeGroot and Craig Forsyth on this restart.
Yeah, cutting the race in half here. Definitely a one-stopper from this point. So we'll see how it works out. I don't think anyone could stretch the field from here. That would be pretty crazy probably, unless we had a lot of yellows to end it. But we shall see, and see as we get going green again.
Yeah, Charles definitely got it going a little early there. Again, you can see the little bit of that snake movement we always talk about as they get back up to speed here. And it seemed like I said, I feel like Charles, it seemed like that car had been struggling a little bit when he was in the traffic. So maybe trying to see if clean air is going to be the kind of the all fixer for that number 50. So say obviously Nick DeGroot's going to get that big run, jump to the inside here. And now the question is, as long as Craig can stay, as long as Charles could maybe try to stay on that second car again, do that leapfrogging. But Craig Forsyth here, he's trying to spoil that party there in that number 27 car. And right now you see they're fighting to be that car to stay on that draft here as we cross the halfway point. And it looks like Craig is going to be able to grab that second position here.
Yeah, Charles was able to stick on his right rear there for a second, but Craig able to make the pass into one.
And man, Charles was close to the wall there out of turn 2. I feel like that car just looks like it's just tight. As Alec Coates trying to work under him now for that third position. And so I think for Craig here, he's got to stay committed to, I think, finding clean air here, because he's in a tight spot here. Now Alec Coates kind of joined the party there. We haven't seen Alec up front now, but took that fuel only strategy, and that's leapfrogged him right to the front here, as he's going to take the lead here entering turn number 1.
Yeah, definitely a bit of land grab here at the front. Got Alex Coates rushing the lead. I don't think he led that lap quite, but we'll see here. Maybe he gets a lap led. I don't think he's led one yet tonight, so maybe a fresh face at the front of the field here for this lap.
Yeah, see, once again, that you see that bright orange and blue in the inside line, that number 4 of AJ Hobson. He has been very happy running that bottom line, and yeah, this will give Alec for sure a lap lead now in that number 3. And saying, I'm watching Nick here. Looks like content now, actually, surprisingly to ride it, but this is what this is going to do when they stay like this. It really starts to stack the field up, and it kind of almost turns it into almost more of a plate race, if you will. Again, we talked about how much the pace increases when they run 2x2, so right now, I'd say Nick DeGroot looks like doing some fuel savings off the back of that 3 car, and that's just going to kind of entice all these other guys to try to make some charges towards the front here. Say, namely, right there, you see that number 4 is, again, big bobble there by Charles Teed here, as these guys going nearly 3 wide here down the front stretch.
Yeah, you can see Nick DeGroot and Craig Forsyth are locked nose to tail on that outside just behind our leader there. Maybe hoping to see if they can get back up to the lead, take point, and try and clear some of the chaos out here, but definitely packing up and trying to grab as much as you can. Not quite go time yet. There's still a lot of time left in the race, but anything that gets you to the front of the pack definitely helps quite a bit. I don't know about you, Gael, but I would definitely prefer to be towards the front than towards the back, even at this point.
I have a feeling me being the way I am, say obviously with us being able to race with each other, and I say this kind of has that Daytona feel to me right now with the way these guys are running 2x2. I say I would probably be most comfortable right now right about where Jari Brupacher is, back in 14th position. Got a little bit of maybe a half a second gap in front of you. Not going to lose the draft here, but you got room to react if you need to, because yeah, I mean these guys have been getting really racy here. I say, oh, you see Charles T there, a big bobble there in 3 and 4, had to roll out of it. And again, you can see just the momentum loss that really hurts how much it does hurt him. But yeah, just something with that 50 car. Just I don't know if it's lingering damage or just maybe he doesn't have quite the adjustments he's looking for. But Charles definitely not having the car underneath him that he's looking for here. As a lot of movement there just in front of them out of turn number 2.
Yeah, it looked like AJ Hobson got a little bit tight and almost loose at the very last second, but nearly avoids the wall. Obviously, he had jumped to the lead the previous lap, grabbed his bonus point there.
Yeah, say now Matt Wagner, he's poked his head up here out of nowhere. Say I've been wondering about Matt's strategy at some points during the race, and go back, you look at a car for about a minute, and then all of a sudden it's all shaken up, and these guys are just everywhere right now. So. The top 2 have broken away a little bit here, but yeah, it almost feels like it's a race of who doesn't want to lead here. It's kind of, again, you want to be that first car that's not leading the pack here. So leading me to think that fuel mileage might not be as comfortable as I thought it was, just because, I mean, we saw how aggressive they were earlier, and it's definitely toned it down a little bit on this restart, where the usual suspects, if you will, of Nick DeGroot and Craig Forsyth early on have really kind of dropped the anchor, if you will.
Yeah, definitely, as they got a chance to pack up there a little bit, creates a little bit of chaos, but still fun for us to watch. Definitely makes it more interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, so I think now the big question is going to be kind of who possibly blinks first. I mean, we still got 43 to go, so I would say probably still got another 18 laps, I think, before we see our first takers possibly for pit road here, if my numbers are right. So. But yeah, just right now, it definitely has that feel, though, where some of these guys are making sure that they have enough to get to the end. Again, there's no green-white checkers with this series, so there's not like they're having to save for any green-white checkered attempts. So I think it's just that fuel number is tighter than we maybe anticipated from the get-go. So maybe these guys, again, doing that leapfrog, probably burning a little more fuel than they were able to figure out during practice.
Yeah, definitely. With no green-white checkered, you don't have to worry about anything after the race, and obviously, ideally, you'd have nothing left as you run out as you cross the finish line. So.
Yeah, so right now it looks like Joseph Desir on the 10 had a moment. Oh, yeah, he's down on the apron. Yep, caution is out. I think it was right there with Eric Schaus getting around to him, so that's going to throw that out of the window. So I say it's still going to be outside the window to make it to the end here. But we are going to have I think now these guys are going to be pretty much no holds barred here. And then the big fight, though, is going to be that lucky dog position. It's going to be Mike Gibson ahead of Eric Schaus here. So say Mike will get one of his 2 laps back, if I'm not mistaken. As this unfortunately looked like the 10 had a bit of a moment and was trying to get that car gathered back up, and just the timing of when the when that 72 was coming by, that's the cause of the caution there. So almost stayed green, but just unfortunately, I say just the 72 was coming up with the head of steam and saying iRacing's going to throw that yellow every time.
Yeah, definitely. If you're spinning out into the grass, iRacing's not going to care so much for at least the automatic yellows. But the second that you pop up back onto the racing surface, that's definitely when it says, hey, that's a problem. So it'll throw that yellow every time. So who knows? Maybe even a little bit of strategy by Joseph DeCiro to make sure that the yellow gets triggered. Because if you spin out in the grass and nothing happens at Michigan or Auto Club, that's definitely a huge disadvantage. So who knows? Maybe a little bit of strategy there, but hard to say.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things like when I've been in that situation, so you're just trying to grab gears and get back going as fast as you can here. So I don't suspect we'll see anybody stay out. Well, actually, I'm being proven wrong here. Matt Wagner are going to be nope, not a lonely driver. There's going to be at least 2, 3 staying out here. A little surprised by this here because again, they at this point these guys know from here they can make it a one stop. But maybe this caution puts those other 3 in that window where they can make it. Maybe just need a tiny bit more fuel than the rest of them. So Matt Wagner, Jim Brooks, Scott Rankin going to stay out, opt for some track position. Whereas Nick DeGroot on back going to hit pit road here for service. Though Nick DeGroot overshoots his pit stall. Actually a rare mistake for that 89 car. We'll see if how much that hurts. Oh, it's going to hurt him a ton here. That car's still not lined up. This is going to drop Nick a fair bit down the running order, unfortunately. So Nick's going to have to do some rebounding, but if there's a track where you can make lots of passes that quickly, it's going to be Michigan. So unfortunately not the break that Nick was looking for. And then, looks like the race off pit road is going to be Joseph Morales going to win the race off pit road. And that's a quick stop. That's looking fuel only to me here, Boomer. It says a 6.3 second pit stop, everybody else in the 8s. So I'm thinking that, I think that's going to be a fuel only stop for that 60. So we talked about strategy. Top 3 stay out. 4th place fuel only.
Yeah, we got our lucky dog here, Mike Gibson, waved around the pace car. Looks like he won that battle against Eric Schaus to get that lucky dog 1 lap back. So he is now only 1 lap down. Eric Schaus continues to be 2 laps down.
Yeah, and that's a tough situation to be in for Eric here. You never want to get in. So you can actually see he actually stayed out there too. I think trying and hoping that he might be able to get that wave around. But when those 3 stay out in front of him, bed's kind of made there, unfortunately. So I would suspect we'll see him drop in if the pits aren't closed for him. He might as well get some service done. But it looks like he stays out. So as I said, pit road may have stayed closed, but. Surprise here though, Joseph Morales won that race out of pit road. Maybe opted after making that pit stop, saw everybody else behind him, took tires, and decided, you know what, maybe tires are the right choice. So he's going to head back on in here. So it's going to put now him down into the teens, and now promote AJ Hobson to the first of those out of pit road.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes there's not a huge difference in time between taking tires and taking fuel, especially not in the Indy cars with how fast the pit stops are, but it's definitely almost always advantageous to take tires when you can. But it looks like Joseph just rolled down pit road, came to a stop, and kept going. I don't know if there was a penalty associated there, but I don't think he actually stopped there.
Yeah, that might be him thinking, you know what, I think things are about to kick off here. Maybe 4th isn't where I want to be yet. Maybe I've definitely been in that situation before too, where you're in a pack and it's only maybe at this point we're getting to closing in, but so you got a pit stop left in this, and so maybe thinking, yeah, all right, you know what, I'll hold off for the moment here, but so we're gonna have is again top 3 did not pit. Eric Schaus is 2 down, he did not pit as well. And then 4th place AJ Hobson did hit pit road. So if they split this thing evenly here, Boomer, they could basically go, I'm trying to think what it would be at 38 to go here. So that'd be what, say 19 and 19, right? So that could be a strategy. And the other strategy that we could see, depending on how much fuel these guys need, some of those guys that pitted maybe opt to do a fuel only stop to save a couple of seconds. That could get them the all-important track position clean air. So we'll see if we get to that point, though, as Matt Wagner's down and away, leading Jim Brooks and Scott Rankin as we are down to 37 left to go.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out here on this restart. If Matt, Jim, and Scott that stayed out, if they can stretch it all the way, that might be pretty tough. But if there's enough yellows, maybe they can make it happen if they can stay far enough ahead in the front here and keep that track position.
Yeah, we had 3, almost 4 wide there through 1 and 2 in that start there. So you got a couple of hungry drivers here. I say Nick DeGroot, one of those trying to get some track position back. Yuri Brewpacher as well. So got those laps back. Now he's ready to do some racing as well. So I'll say these guys are starting to get after it here aggressively and early. So
Oh, we got a big wreck in the back. Looks like.
Oh yeah, Charles teed up against
that?
the wall. He's sliding down track. Actually, he's off on his own here. And then also
and Gary
Corley. Yeah, and Gary's pointed forward here. Charles is off the racing surface. So unfortunately,
just like involved, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, a bad break going to stay green here. So we'll do is I'm going to jump back and try to take a quick look at see what exactly happened between Gary and Charles here.
Yeah, from my view, it looks like Charles just got tight, came up, hit the wall, and the 7 was an unfortunate bystander. But yeah, as you say, we stay green here.
Oh yeah, you're right. It looks like Charles just caught the wall out of 4, and then unfortunately just right into the path of Gary Corley. And then at that point, there's let's say Gary went for a ride there for a moment there. But yeah, stay green here. So we'll jump back live. Unfortunately, those two, I believe, both are. It actually looks like they've both actually retired. Unfortunately. So we've got right now though is let's say Matt Wagner, Jim Brooks. Oh man, that
was a little tight to the wall.
That is, that's not what you want to have happen there. And so that was just him trying to get everything he could, plus getting that aero wash behind that 6 car. And yeah, that could have ended in tears, almost probably a bit of a replica of what we saw right there with Teed there. But yeah, so they're trying to break away here, but they've got that 4 starting to close down here again. And he's the first driver that pitted.
We got AJ Hobson moving up to 3rd there. The first guy that did pit on that last caution.
And so yeah, so this is where now if you're AJ here, do you opt for track position? I think you got your answer right now. He's going to duck under Matt Wagner. I was going to say, or does he maybe just try to stay cruise control behind these 2 guys and again just maybe save some extra fuel and let them do the heavy lifting, if you will. So is he not able to clear Matt Wagner? Matt's going to have the toe of that 51 of Jim Brooks. Is now Eric Schaus going to work there? And saying this might be Eric Schaus here also, maybe trying to go the hard way here, get one of his laps back the old-fashioned way, if you will. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So I say right now, yeah, Matt and Jim here just continuing to do the leapfrog approach. I say AJ Hobson at the moment's kind of had to stay lockstep with these guys. Scott Rankin, again, he also stayed out right now just outside that group behind them. And then Alec Coates trying to creep his way in. And then been watching, again, the progress for Nick DeGroot, Thaddeus McMurray. They're starting to make their way. They've been working together here, and they have worked their way up into that top 10. And say these guys are rim riding it right now here, just inside the top 10 in 8th and 9th. Still plenty of time for them to recover.
Yeah, definitely. So far, it still seems like the winners of that fuel savings battle, or at least the difference in pit strategy from staying out, are Jim Brooks and Matt Wagner as they continue to battle back and forth, swapping 1st and 2nd place. But obviously, AJ Hobson right there in the mix too, trying to see if he can put his name in the hat for the top spot.
Yeah, so yeah, AJ's been very comfortable running that very, very bottom line, which a lot of times you'll see these guys kind of stay pretty much committed to that 2nd groove. So he's gotten that car very comfortable to run really low, which I think could really pay dividends later on in the race here. And also gives him, when you have those cars running that groove up, it lets him have just run the short, big tight there off of 2 though, but lets him run that shorter distance as well and still keeps him clean air on the nose. But we're at 30 to go here, so we thought that earlier the 25 to go for the fuel window would be plenty, but say just based on what we're seeing here though, I'm leaning towards these guys probably going to have to go a little further if they can get to the like maybe low 20s to go on fuel. That way there's 0 question marks and they can just go max rich and basically just run qualifying laps all the way to the end if we stay under green here.
Yeah, it's definitely more fun to be the one in strategy where you're going all out every single lap versus trying to save all the fuel you can. But you got to also play into what strategy works best for you based on your driving style, and also maybe where the track position is when you have to make the call.
Yeah, and I feel like this is definitely a track where once, and I think also just with this series, probably want to pit as soon as you're in your window and you know you can make it in, you jump in right away. The question mark would be though is I don't know 100% sure though if they do that, would they be able to stay on the lead lap? I think the pace of these cars would probably drop you a lap under green flag conditions. It's a risk versus reward though, because if you can do a quick pit stop, you'd cycle out right into the main pack and kind of basically get back onto the track in the draft. So say it gives you kind of that little bit of an advantage over those guys that could be pitting later. So definitely some options for these guys to have here is Nick DeGroot starting to try to work his way now towards the top 5 here, trying to work around Craig Forsyth. but right now it doesn't have the momentum to do so, as he's got Scott Rankin and Alec Coates right there as well. So we got a good battle here, just inside and outside of the top 5.
Yeah, definitely, as you're saying, obviously Michigan 2 miles is a pretty big track, but when these cars are going as fast as they do, it's really tough to stay ahead and not go 1 lap down whenever you pit on any track with these cars. So in a stock car, you might be able to do it pretty easily, but these guys are flying into turn 1 and into turn 3, going over almost 230 miles an hour. So
yeah, so I just pulled up the kind of the info for the speeds and the gears right now, and so it looks like they get low. The lowest they go to is about 210 or so, and that's in dirty air. I think if they chose to, yeah, you'd see these guys up in the 240s, but a lot of these guys have been lifting in the turns as well. So right now, Nick Drew trying to work on the inside of the 156 and the 27 here. But again, once again, you see all the draft though for them is on that outside line, so he's gonna have to once again tuck back in line here, just kind of stuck in 7 for the moment. But we're at that 25 to go here. Joseph Morales, he hits pit road. Actually no, he's gonna hit the pit wall on entry. Unfortunately, it's just a little bit too much rear brake. And unfortunately, he's going to damage the nose cone, possibly some suspension damage for him as well. But I think that window is going to be opening very soon here, though. This is going to be, again, who's going to be blinking first to hit pit road, as Matt Wagner looks tempted. And yeah, here he comes. Matt Wagner is going to be the first of our leaders here to hit pit road. He's going to bring Scott Rankin in with him. And those are teammates here, so we're going to talk about that leapfrog situation. If they both nail their pit stops here, come out together, they can try to make some quick time right away.
I think we'll see. It sounds like we got a couple. Yep, couple of our leaders are going to be pitting this time by. It looks like.
Yeah, Jim's pretty committed to the inside. Yeah.
Yep.
I think Eric Schaus looking like he wants to hit pit road as well. So I'll say once
McMurray as well. So yeah, a lot coming this time maybe.
Oh, Nick DeGroot as well. So saying this will be an interesting one for Nick here, because again he had a longer pit stop there. And he was one of those that did not stay out. So we talked about Matt Wagner and them. They're actually just rolling off of pit road now. They are going to get trapped a lap down here for the moment. But look at this. They're going to blend in right into the main draft pack here for that 6 car. So that's perfect for him. Although looking for Scott Rankin. Scott, he's on the outside looking in. And we'll see if he can catch up to them or not as well. But yeah, this is my question mark. Nick DeGroot, 5-second pit stop. Fuel only for that number 89.
Yep, they're leaving pits right now as the leaders are entering 1, so they should be able to pick up the draft as they get there. Nick maybe even, no, not quite. The closing rate will be pretty quick, but Nick will definitely be up there as he gets there.
Yeah, so I think that was a strategy call where he didn't have the track position he wanted, so he said, all right, you know what, I got to at least do this to get into the front group here. So now at this point, the question mark will be, what did the rest of these guys do? As I just saw one hit pit road, that was Yari Brupacher. He's hitting pit road as well, so this is going to be his final stop. As right now, Craig Forsyth being shown as our race leader. We still have got about, I believe, 6 drivers actually, I'm sorry, yet to make their final scheduled pit stop here. But again, these drivers that just pitted, they're right in the main pack here, so this is where things get pretty dicey.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see here as Nick DeGroot actually was able to make his way to the front of the pack, so he is not in
right now.
Yeah, I apologize. Tail end in front of it now, but definitely at the back, the last car on the lead lap, or the first car lap down, depending on where he's at with Craig. But
yeah, and this is where you kind of get a little greedy too, where it's like, hey man, if there's yellow, I don't want to be trapped a lap down. I don't want to have to restart behind you. So it's in his best interest to stay aggressive, and it's in Craig's best interest leading this race to keep them pinned behind him if he can. So it's a cat and mouse game really here with these guys, and right now Craig able to keep them pinned one down. Saw AJ Hobson that last lap. He's hit pit road, he's rolling out of pit road, and now you're going to see him the leaders fly by him as he comes off on the track. But yeah, right now I think Craig is definitely playing some pretty aggressive defenses. Nick's going to peek that nose to the outside though. He's going to get a good run here out of 2.
A couple more takers, it sounds like, for their last pit stop this time by.
Yeah, I think Craig, nope, not Craig. It looks like it's going to be Eric Peterson. He's going to hit pit road. He's bringing Jim Herrick along with him. So these are their last scheduled pit stops as well. So that leaves now just, I believe, Craig Forsyth and Jack Walls and Joseph DeCiro. I think Joseph may have pitted. I'm not sure about the miscue he had, if he just rolled out afterwards or not. But yeah, right now you've got the 27 and the 83 in this lead pack, though. And saying once that cycles through, our battle for the lead right now is going to be Nick DeGroot, Matt Wagner, Jim Brooks, and the 156 of Scott Rankin. And Craig is in front of a hornet's nest right behind him right now.
I definitely got some hungry drivers, especially as a couple there that might be trying to looking to stay on the lead lap there. So yeah, it looks like we've got up through 6th place. So Nick DeGroot in 6th place.
Oh, contacts in the leaders. Yep, this is going to bring out a yellow.
Wow.
It's involving a bunch of drivers. Somehow still no caution yet. Now the caution's out. And that was involving a handful of our front runners. Craig Forsyth had yet to pit. Same for Jack Walls, but Matt Wagner, he is involved as well. Jim Brooks, I believe, got a piece of it also in the 51 machine. Yeah, nose cone popped off on that car. So I think right now the driver that's going to be licking his chops right now, actually it looks like a couple drivers possibly, because with that incident, a few of these drivers are going to be able to stay in front of the pace car as the leaders were involved. And I think Joseph DeCiro is going to cycle around as our leader, if I'm not mistaken. Due to that damage. But yeah, so Nick DeGroot, though, he's going to slide on around here probably to restart up front, but he's going to have Scott Rankin and Alec Coates, I believe, to stay out with him. So let's go back, though, because we still got some racing to go after this, but unfortunately unfortunate a little mistake there, and definitely hit a handful of our lead pack drivers there.
Yeah, it definitely looked like we had Matt Wagner and Jim Brooks make a little bit of contact, and unfortunately it looked like our then leader, Craig Forsyth, just an innocent bystander, and obviously a couple more people piling up into that as well.
Yeah, I'll try to take a better look here. So, I mean, just everybody's jumping around trying to find that track position here. You see Matt, he kind of peeks to the top, trying to get some clean, trying to get the momentum to get to the outside of Craig, and then it looks. I think it looks a little bit like the 51, or sorry, the 6 goes up into the 51. Again, trying to get around Craig there. And so I think Jim maybe just either a little lower than he expected or didn't realize he was there. And then unfortunately, like I said, Craig Forsyth, honestly, just kind of an innocent bystander there, unfortunately, that 27 car. And same thing with Jack Walls as well. Jack was feeling probably like he was in good spot, but then you had those guys that were just in front of it, able to sneak on through these 3 in front. So we'll jump back live here because our leaders, actually surprisingly here, Nick DeGroot here hit pit road. So I believe once things cycle out, I'm honestly very surprised about this, to see Nick hit pit road. I believe though our race leader after all this cycles through is going to be Joseph DeCiro, is going to cycle out in front after all is said and done. So definitely a shakeup in the running order here.
Yeah, DeCiro, DeGroot, and Scott Rankin looks like your top 3 coming out of the pits. Looks like a few people might actually be getting a free wave around here.
Yeah, it looks like about 5 or so. It looks like Jim Herrick, Thaddeus McMurray, Joseph Morales, Mike Gibson,
and Yari Brupacher.
Yep. So big breaks for them. Right now, unfortunately, the heartbreaker probably for a couple drivers here is going to be Craig Forsyth. That car just destroyed. And then Jack Walls as well. So that car's actually missing both of his front tires here as he had to take a tow. So those guys were in the lead. They had almost about a lap on the field. Of course, they still had to pit, but unfortunately, they're not going to have a chance to see how that was going to play out for them as they're involved in that incident.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, because that group of 5 were able to get the natural wave around, as it were. They're not going to be able to pit this time by, so definitely want to make sure you're on that lead lap, whether you do have to pit again or not. So hopefully they did take their final pit stops, but if not, it's definitely better to be on the lead lap when you can.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, we're going from 8 drivers on the lead lap to 13 with that wave around. So I mean, it's a big break for a lot of those guys. Looks like Craig has just rolled off of pit road. I still believe he's trapped 2 down, unfortunately, after that. But Saying that, and that hurts him in the points as well. He was right in the thick of it with Nick DeGroot and Scott Rankin, and now he's down into the teens here, whereas Nick and Scott second and third. So that's the last thing that Craig was looking to have happen there. So, however, I mean, it's go time here for these guys. We're going to restart with 13 to go. Everybody's good to go on fuel. They got what they need on fuel and tires. Some drivers have to play a little safe, of course, without the fast repair anymore. The 51 and the 6 cars, of course, notably of those two. But now we got a new driver up front here, Joseph DeCiro. Started shotgun 19th position. He is now leading this race on the same strategy as everybody. So he's got a really good chance now, put himself in a great spot with his strategy.
And it looks like Jack Walls will be taking his vehicle behind the wall for the evening, so he has retired.
Yeah, it's a tough break for Jack. Also, like I said, just innocent bystander there. So pace car is off. Watching out the back of Joseph DeCiro, see Nick DeGroot creeping in, ready to go. And now Joseph DeCiro, he grabs the gear, but Nick pretty quick to react here. So again, this is where these guys are going to have to capitalize because, again, no green, white, checkered. So you're going to want to be in front as often as you possibly can. And Joseph here, actually, he's going to go from strategy here, with Nick here,
Right.
Boomer. He's going to actually let him on by here. Now he's going to snag the draft on the backstretch, see if he can sneak around that number 89 car, it looks like. So this is where everybody's going to start to just, again, elbows are going to start coming out here at these guys. We're going to see a lot of big and aggressive moves. And like I said, I think this is where track position is going to be just that much more critical. But right now, Joseph's kind of content, it looks like, to just kind of cruise just to the outside of Nick. Again, might be trying to get some time, that strategy, get that big run and arc it down. But I'll say you put yourself at risk right there with Scott Rankin. Scott able to jump to his inside. You see Nick right now, he is playing with that draft, trying to keep these two side by side. The more he can keep them alongside each other, the better he is going to be off in this race.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if you're not either Nick, Joe, or Scott, it's definitely go time, and you want to be getting to that front. So, but they'll be playing to see how they can make moves. I mean, you got 10 laps left, so these are the guys you're probably going to be racing around for the win. Got to get a feel for what they're going to be doing strategy-wise, and maybe start playing around with them, toying them with a little bit, learn their strategy.
Yeah, exactly right. See Scott Rankin able to get around Joseph DeCiro, so move Scott up to second, Joseph back to third. As you see Jim Brooks again running that third lane. He's been really happy running that outside line, trying to build that momentum up as well in that 51. Again, I mean, at this point, there's no strategy here. These guys just got to get to the front here as we got 10 to go. Scott Rankin peeks to the outside, entering turn number 1. We've seen it work before. Will it work now when it's kind of starting to get to go time here? As you can see, Jim Brooks starting to peek in on that number. Oh, caution in the back, it looks like. Yeah, number 10, Joseph DeCiro. Oh, Joseph DeCiro, he was right up in the front of this. He spins out. That's going to put us back under yellow here. We're with at 10 to go. We'll still get a restart here, so we're not going to finish under yellow. But that's a tough break for the driver leading that restart.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate to be up front and fall back like that. Looks like he got loose into one, caught the apron again, and just looped around. So
yeah, and I've been there myself, and just we'll watch to see if he's on that seam. I think that's the telltale. We've seen that once already in the race, and I'm watching right here, and yeah, he's on that seam, and that car just immediately just hooked him left as soon as he started trying to turn on entry. I think just was a little too low, and does a really good job here though. You can see is actually able to hold that apron for as long as he has. Obviously running slow motion, but
until he started to come back up on the racing surface, he had it straight and. Maybe just carried a little bit too much speed still, but definitely a great effort to try and save it. But that's such a tough position to be in.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But the thing is, I mean, the car, I mean, he spun. There's no contact with anybody, so just honestly, just tires are gonna be mad, and other than that, should be good to go. Grab a gear, get some tires, get back in this thing. So, and say not over yet for Joseph DeCiro. So that's always a good thing. And I think, and honestly, made the right call there. Decided to stay out, or I should say, keep it hooked left there, because a lot of times you try to catch that car, and as soon as you think you might have it saved, it bites and hooks straight to the right, and you'll see numerous cars caught up in it. So I think he made a great choice there, just to keep it low, and then once it started losing control, just kept it turned left and just kind of throttled it on to spin it around.
Yeah, definitely washed up a little bit there at one point, but definitely not as bad as if he were to try and correct it all the way. As soon as these cars get grip, man, they just lock and turn, and you are headed straight for the wall, and it's just not a position you want to be in, that's for sure.
No, exactly right. It's Craig Forsyth. He's going to get one of his 2 laps back. I'll say kind of a consolation, I feel like, at this point for that 27. Pit stop wise, though, Joseph Morales, he hit pit road, as did Yari Brupacher. Actually, surprisingly, Joseph DeCiro stayed out there. I'm a little surprised about that because, like I said, I think those tires are going to be pretty angry in that 10 car. So, again, no tire limits here, so that's not a reason for him not to have pitted there. So, just maybe opted just, hey, I'm just going to stay out here and see how, just keep those couple extra spots if I can. So, yeah, a little surprised by it, but we'll see if it pans out for him. However, say again, we're going to be restarting this thing, I believe, with about 6 to go here, Boomer. So, so we talked about elbows out earlier. It's going to be even more so now. And say these two up front here now, Nick DeGroot, Scott Rankin, they have been duking it out all season long. So this is going to be a fun battle between the two of them. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that 51 or the 4, or even Eric Peterson kind of peek their nose in here if they see if they can throw any of these guys off their game.
Yeah, a lot of these guys up in the top 5 have been here just about all night. So had some chances at the front to show what they have and show their strength. And now it's time to go, and we'll get a couple laps here to hopefully settle this under green and have a very fun and exciting finish.
Yeah, so I think that's the big one. Is we definitely want to see this thing finish under green flag conditions. Saying, of course, the way it works is if we get that late yellow with about probably 3 to go, at that point, race will be over. However, if we get to that white flag at that point on these guys, it's just kind of who gets to the line first. So, again, no green-white checkers here on the Indy Series to kind of mimic the actual IndyCar season. No playoffs, anything like that as well. So, right now, say our top 3, though, Nick DeGroot, Scott Rankin, Jim Brooks. And you got AJ Hobson and Eric Peterson rounding out our top 5 here. So, we'll see. I'll say we've seen big momentum shifts over the course of these restarts before. Now it's just going to be Scott Rankin's going to have to be on top of his game to be quick on the draw to react to that number 89. And then, of course, going to be watching his mirror that whole time as well, because if Jim gets an opportunity, he's going to try to pounce.
Yeah, Jim definitely always not afraid to stick it in around the outside there, so we'll have to watch that. Obviously, as fans here in the booth, we want to see a nice, fun race, and I'm sure everyone behind Nick is looking forward to hoping it stays green, but see, maybe Nick might be the only one wishing for a short yellow here to finish the race, but regardless, it'll be a fun run to the finish, and we'll see how Nick can handle this restart and if Scott can capitalize.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Everybody from second on back is like, all right, guys, let's keep this thing to green to the end. That 89 car's like, yeah, I'm all right with a couple yellows if we need them. So no pressure there. So say we'll see. Again, we've pace cars off, so it's now up to Scott. Up to Nick. He has control of it here as he is down and away, and a pretty good reaction there. Looks like Scott Rankin's going to be safely in the tow here. So again, then it's just all about that defense here as they head into 1 and 2, and he is keeping that car pinched to the inside line.
Yeah, definitely a great jump by Nick here as we restart with, I believe, 7 to go. So it'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, so here's Scott. He gets the run here, but again, I think this is where Nick, that good restart he got, it prevents Scott from getting too far ahead of him through the straightaway. He gets to him just at turn number 3, and that's when he got to run that further distance out. As we're going to cross line here, we're going to be at 5 laps to go here at Michigan. As you can see, Scott Rankin at the line there. They were close there. That's probably going to be hundreds, if not thousandths of a second.
Yep, Nick holds on to that lead there for now.
Oh, things get dicey though if you have connection hiccups, and say, unfortunately, not sure where Scott. There's Scott. He's back on track, and say, but yeah, when they start blinking though, that's when you get even more nervous, because then you just have to guess where they are, and so that affects the guys around you behind. I'll say, so right now, say again, Scott's going to try to pick up that draft, and say this is where these guys are going to try to learn here at the line. There, you can see right there, Nick just a nose cone ahead. These guys are going to start to play with kind of make that momentum shift and try to get that right run at the right time.
Yeah, Nick beating into the line by 5 thousandths of a second that time by, so we'll see. So it looks like we got a 3-wide battle for the lead here as Jim Brooks looks to take it all the way to the outside. 3 wide into 3.
Yeah, so we're getting down to it. So I was saying this is where you're going to have to try to do something different. Of course, longer distance around, it's going to make it tougher. Let's say just if you can catch them off guard, so that's going to be your best chances. Again, these guys side by side at the line. Now you got 6 cars all packed up together here. Matt Wagner, he's joined the mix with Eric Peterson. And so, yeah, so right now, say it's still Nick holding on to that inside line. He's not going to give up that white line. saying Scott Rankin he's going to try to do everything he can to work that middle lane and see if he can sneak that nose ahead of that 89 at the right time.
Yeah, the 89 and the 4 of AJ Hobson both staying tried and true to that bottom lane. Get such a good run. AJ might even be able to pull a few spots off here as he stays to the inside.
Now we're down to 2 to go. So everybody's starting to squeeze a little more aggressive. As you saw Eric Peterson, he tried to peek up top there. Jim Brooks, he closed the door there. He wants to keep that clean there as they head down the backstretch as we have a lap and a half to go.
Oh, and Scott Rankin gets the inside now, all the way to the bottom, underneath the white line, into 3 for the lead.
Yeah, it was an over. I'm not sure if Nick was expecting or not. Saying, admins will have to be kind of make the call on if it was a legal pass or not. Say at this point, I say these guys. Oh, caution's out. That is going to do it. So at the line, as it's basically at the time of the caution, and I believe it was Scott Rankin with just the nose ahead. So before we look at the incident, let's go back and look at that pass for lead, because you're right. I mean, if it's below the yellow line, it's subject to discussion. I mean, he had the room. You see that the 2 are off below the yellow or below the white there. So I mean, it wasn't like Nick was hugging that white line all the way. So it's at this point we would have to assume that it's Scott's win. But let's go back now and take a look at that incident, because it looked like it was around with Matt Wagner in that number 6 machine. So let's pull up Matt here. He's down on the inside line here. I'm wondering if it was contact a little bit further back. Actually, you see the 4 here lost a lot of track position there. AJ Hobson. Oh, yeah, it gets into, I'd say those 2 squeezed each other there with Yari Brupacher. And then unfortunately, I'd say Matt just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he goes for a bit of a ride there as well.
Yeah, tough break, tough race, all race long for Yari Brupacher. Definitely had pace, but just not his night, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we'll jump back live here while we're watching that, because it's Scott Rankin that's going to come across the finish line here under caution. However, I believe, like I said, I believe at this point it's going to be, as far as we know, it's going to be that 156 getting the win over the 89. Jim Brooks going to bring it home in 3rd. Then you got Eric Peterson, Alec Coates going to be our top 5 here tonight unofficially. So before we get to our interviews, we'll pull up our final results for tonight. So as we mentioned already, our top 5 there: Scott Rankin, Nick DeGroot, Jim Brooks, Eric Peterson, Alec Coates. Then you got Thaddeus McMurray, Jim Herrick, Mike Gibson was 2 down. He recovers up into that top 10. Joseph Morales, Joseph DeCiro. And you got Yari Brupacher, Craig Forsyth in 12th. And then AJ Hobson, Matt Wagner, unfortunately drops down to 14th. And then, I'll say, drivers a fair bit back, unfortunately, including Eric Schaus, Jack Walls, and then we saw that earlier contact with Gary Corley, Charles Teed finishing in 17th and 18th, respectively. Alright, so we're going to watch that number 156 here celebrate at the start-finish line here. So he's going to be a very happy driver. He is always, so you'll enjoy this too, Boomer, because he is always a lot of fun to interview, and it's like he'll be even more fun, I think, with winning the race as well. We'll see. We'll say probably some shoeies involved in as well. I don't think he'll do that on air, but he'll be a fun one to chat with here in just a moment.
Yeah, that's always a good time for sure.
So we're going to do those while he celebrates. We got to jump around and talk to our top 3 here. Say, unfortunately, that yellow coming out at just the inopportune time. Let's say it was just before they got to that white to race it out. However, we're going to pull in our 3rd place finisher here. That's going to be that 51 of Jim Brooks. And, I mean, obviously not the overall the race you're probably hoping for, but recovering after the incident there, saying, I mean, that was a mess towards the end of that race where you guys had pitted, some hadn't pitted. That fight between staying on the lead lap and trying to decide and being trapped a lap down with Craig and Jack there, and that unfortunate contact on the backstretch, able to get the car back to pit road, though, use your fast pair and then charge back up to have a chance for to have a chance at the win there. I'm guessing it's kind of about all you could have hoped for once that caution came out there.
Yeah, and it kind of hurt. You know, I was doing really well on that one run when I got took out. It was like the outside line was just so nice, and I really had a good feel for it. And I mean, I passed a lot of cars up there, and I guess went 3 wide or something, and that didn't end up well for some reason. But yeah, I'm happy with 3rd.
Yeah, as I Boom and I were definitely noticing you were definitely enjoying life on that third lane, especially early on in the race. We saw pretty much everybody kind of running middle to the bottom, and we saw you got to, like, I think it was the top 6, and then literally the next turn you get another one there running that third lane, just keeping the momentum up. It seemed like. Was it something that you maybe adjustments in the car, of course, with these having the ARB adjustments and all that, kind of adjusted to feel good up top, or was it just the top was where you felt like you were the most comfortable there?
Well, what happens is people go ahead and get down in the lower and the middle lanes, and then so you push when you get right behind those. But if you get up in a higher lane, you got a little bit cleaner air, and you're able to really not lift hardly at all. If anything, just crack the throttle. And then I gave it a little extra weight jacker to help it turn, because it seemed later in the race it wasn't working quite as well, but a little extra weight jacker did it. Yeah, and early on, it's like I was just passing at will because nobody would stay up there. And if people were up there, I know at one point Scott was there and I was having a hard time because he was having to let off too much, and I guess he wasn't used to it, so it really messed you up if people did run that high line though.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was definitely a wild one over the course. I'm gonna say it was a lot of strategies at one point. It looked like potential fuel mileage strategies, and then that went out the door. Then a caution comes out, and it looks like fuel strategy might be in again. And then, of course, then by that time we got that final yellow, it's like, okay, well, all bets are off. These guys are gonna be going full tilt to the end there. So it was an exciting one. I'd say it was. We saw a lot of grooves working for various drivers. Like I said, we saw the 4 a lot down at the pretty much right at the white yellow line. And so you were definitely one of the rim riders for tonight as well. But a good job to recover and get yourself back up to that top 3. So definitely want to give you the floor though for any thanks and shouts I'd like to give for that 3rd place tonight.
Thanks. No, it was fun, and thank obviously Area 51 and Green White Checker, and welcome Boomer to the broadcast. It's good to have him here with us.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jim. Way to hold it high, wide, and handsome out there, doing a great job out there. Congrats on the podium.
Thanks, man.
All right, so not seeing Nick DeGroot at the moment. So, nope, actually, as I said, now I see Nick, so we're going to drag him on over. So I wasn't sure if we mentioned a lot of these guys have a lot of open wheel racing that they do. So we're going to grab Nick on in here, and that was definitely an eventful one for you tonight. I'll say the strategies and kind of fuel mileage, and then full send, and I mean, I think the big storyline, of course, is that at the middle of the pit cycle, that caution that came up behind you as you were able to clear Craig and company. Probably feeling like you're in the catbird seat there, but then I have to admit though, I was a little surprised where you actually stayed, or I should say where you hit pit road instead of staying out to take over the point there. Did tires just matter that much for you guys?
In that situation, because I was going to try to hold the bottom, yeah, I needed those tires because the green flag pit stop I didn't take tires. So those tires on my car were, 30 laps old? I definitely needed new ones if I was planning on trying to hold the bottom like I did there at the end, which is normally the winning move there if you can keep it down there. But yeah, I definitely needed those tires.
I'll say, and then not to stir up any controversy, but I'll say obviously the last run there towards the end with you and Scott, I mean, it was a great battle, you guys going back and forth, and then he's just able to sneak underneath you off of 2. I'm gonna say Boom and I were noticing, say did have the tires a little bit below the white line there. I say he had space to move up there, but I'll say I'm not going to make any assumptions or accusations, but was that something that did you feel like you had the bottom covered and just he was able to get lower than you thought he could have gone? Or I mean, like I said, I know you guys are good friends and still, but of course, still rivals. Of course, everybody trying to get the best results they can. I mean, how did you view it? I guess from your point of view at the time.
Yeah. I actually looked at the replay afterwards and saw exactly what you're talking about, but I wouldn't call that passing below the white line, even though he did dip the tires below it, simply because he had the lane and he was just kind of reacting to what was a bit of a late block from me trying at the last second to cover it. But yeah, I don't think I'd call that a pass below the white line. I don't know how exactly it is in the rules, but yeah, I had no problem with that move. Then as for me giving up the bottom there, it gets really hard to hold the bottom in 1 and 2 as these runs go on. And in that moment, actually, because you may have noticed the lap before, I had no problem holding the bottom there because the tires are still fairly new. I was watching AJ Hobson, who had a really big run down the front stretch, thinking he might send it 3 wide under me. He might try to go up the middle. And because I was paying attention to him, I had a lapse with my weight jacker because I was changing it every corner. For turn 3, for turn 1, I was changing the weight jacker back and forth. And I didn't change it before the corner. So I had my weight jacker settings for turn 3 while I was entering turn 1, and it pushed up a bit more than it was supposed to. So that was a bit of a lapse on my part, but there's a lot going on, battling 200 miles per hour through wide for the lead and having to change weight jacker numbers every 5 seconds. It gets a little difficult. So yeah, that was a bit on me, but I think he might have gotten me anyway, just from the runs he was getting on the outside coming to the line. I think he might have got me by a nose at the checkered flag if it had gone all the way green and I was still able to hold the bottom. But either way, I'm happy with the top 2. I think we retook the points lead. Not excited about how we got it with Craig Reckon there because he had a great run himself. But you know what? We had some bad luck last week, so I'll take it any way I can get it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just say we obviously everybody's got that one drop week, so I say it's just kind of minimizing the worst races, if you will. But yeah, it was a lot of fun watching you guys battle it out there. Say between the strategies, kind of like you said, holding to the inside, or because we saw that this is one of those races where it's a big enough track, the outside line it does carry some momentum to be able to work that second lane. So yeah, it was a lot of fun watching you and Scott duke out, and I mean it's gonna be that I think the rest of the season you guys have just shown week after week that you guys are gonna be going after it tooth and nail the rest of the way here. So just great job tonight, Nick. It was a lot of fun to watch you guys go after it, and definitely want to give you the floor here for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give before I let you go.
Yeah, well, before I do that, and you can tell Scott that I called him out on this a couple weeks ago. I think it was he had a bad race or whatever. And he came on the radio. He's like, I'm out of this championship hunt. Well, look at him now. He was already within a race of it coming into this race, and then he wins the thing. So he's even closer now. So it ain't over till it's over. He's right back in this thing, and with 2 races to go, anything can happen. So it's gonna be a great 3-race fight with him, myself, and Craig. And yeah, hopefully we can get this championship for Factory Back Motorsports. And all our sponsors, motorsport.com, covermore.com, Cowboy Shit, and everybody else. We've been real close in Area 51 a couple times, a couple runner-ups to Henry Bennett. So hopefully we can get it this time. I don't really want to finish second again.
Yeah, so you've definitely been doing your part to hold on to, and like I said, yeah, so you got 2 to go after this one with Chicagoland, and then of course Indy. So great job tonight, man, and definitely good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, that is Nick DeGroot, so that leaves us one left to chat with. That's going to be our race winner in that number 156. Saying looks like you kind of got a nickname already added onto you here, so it's going to be Scott Drop Bear Rankin. But Scott, I mean, what a race! I mean, I say we saw that first yellow you pitted there. It looked like maybe thinking fuel mileage. Then the draft kind of goes away. You have to chase your way back up to the main pack, and it was kind of a back and forth race on strategies. Boom and I were talking about where it's like, okay, full send, fuel save. I mean, how many times did you kind of change your strategy throughout the course of tonight?
Well, I mean, it's the other thing is like I could see cars around me constantly changing their strategy as well, with where they wanted to be in the pack. Initially, qualifying didn't go so well. Qualifying didn't really go the way that I wanted it to. It was about settling into the pack. It was about, just finding a groove. I said, look, I think fuel mileage is going to be one of the biggest concerns that we're going to have. It was a couple laps in. I was going to lose 2 or 3 spots. And the thing that goes through my mind under cautions whenever you're looking at that is track position versus the fuel. Is it worthwhile to give up 2 or 3 spots at the start of the race that can probably get back very, very easily just for that fuel offset? And I think at that point it was a bit of a no-brainer. Yeah, I mean it was tricky. The fuel mileage was so important to how you ran the race tonight. That second to last caution, or sorry, third to last caution, I think it was, where Matt and I both decided, hey, we're just going to stay out here. I think that was the right call. Because we'd come down on the prior one, so we both had fresher tires. We're both in a really nice sort of spot, I think, in terms of the overall race scenario. So we just said, there's nothing to lose right now. We need some track position. This is the phase of the race where track position is going to matter. we went for it. Things played out. We come in. We basically threw caution to the wind. We said, we've got a short pit here. We can't run the full distance. If we go the full distance, the guys on the fresher tires, they're gonna just surge their way past us, and we're gonna have no response to that. Matt did a great job with his pit lane entry and his pit lane out. I pretty much grabbed the throttle and spun tires from my pit box all the way to the exit. So, messed that up a little bit. Got helped out by some other guys pitting under that green flag area, and then just said, "Look, I mean, we're here. We're in the pack now. What are we gonna do?" And Matt went, "I'm going for it. I'm going to try and win this race." And we just happened to be the first car on the scene that got through. Like, that's, oh my God, I thought I saw my championship go up in flames right there. Any shot I had, but such is life. And then, what a pleasure it is to race against Nick DeGroot on that last caution as well. The guy is just like, he recognized that I got the nose fractionally underneath his car, and he gave it. He didn't try and force the issue. There are a lot better drivers out there, or better than me. Not necessarily than Nick, but there are better drivers than me out there that'll see you shove the nose, and then they'll still jam the car back down there and force you to lift. And Nick didn't do that. He backed it up. He was just about to clear me when that caution come out, and unfortunately for him, it was just such a great race. Everything right the way through. It just had a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting one. Like I said, that big move out of two to be able to cut underneath him and get that spot there. And that's something that Boom and I were talking about. It's like, again, there's no green white checkers here, so it's not like, I mean, you gotta be going after lap after lap, because you just don't know if and when that yellow could happen. And I mean, you put the nail on the head there. I mean, you were able to get that point, and just before Nick had a chance to try to get back to your door there, like a side pod in this case. Say that caution came out, able to keep you up front there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun watching you guys go at it there, and say it was a lot of racing, obviously, all throughout the field, their strategies, and a little bit of everything tonight, man. So well done. I say, like I said, I think this will pop you right back into the championship hunt as well. So it's gonna be fun to see you three duke it out the next two races. So before we let you go, though, I say definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shout outs you'd like to give for that big win here tonight at Michigan?
First and foremost, to you guys. I mean, you guys do a great job broadcasting. And Boomer, thank you very much for jumping in. Thank you for being a part of the series. It's your first night here. It's the first time you see me win a race, so I'm going to do something special for you guys. I don't know if you can see this, Gael.
Gael warned me this might be happening, so...
Well, this is the first one that he's actually been live in the booth. This is the first one I've done live in the booth, so...
Okay.
I wish I could pull it up on the stream for everybody else to watch, but yeah, so for those that are watching, there is liquid being poured in a boot, and so for those that are familiar with F1, Daniel Ricciardo, always celebrates his wins with the shoeies, and luckily for everybody else in the field, though, nobody else is around you for you to force them after it. So luckily, I know your wife's gonna just be like, you stay away from me.
Yeah, that's pretty much anytime we drink from this here boot, that's exactly what she says. You get away from me, you go brush your teeth, you go shower, you go clean up. No, don't come anywhere near. So yeah, look, I mean, I want to say a big shout out first and foremost to the guys that support me. The support network I've had around me is growing. Currently, all the sponsors I actually have on my car, they're just friends, businesses, and whatnot at the moment. There's actually no income there. So to anyone who's actually watching the stream who wants to get a sponsorship deal in place, please do reach out. There's going to be some strong opportunities going forward. So I do want to stress that I am open to bribes, not from Matt Wagner. And yeah, but a big shout out to the guys that I obviously work with, Flat Out Racing Network. Again, whilst these guys don't actually necessarily pay me sponsorship money, they do actually employ me as a business guy. So I commentate for Flat Out Racing Network. I'm a race controller, or the head race controller actually for 24/7 Network. 24/7 Sim Services. To Indy Autosports and my sponsors over there. To the league, to Nick DeGroot for an amazing race there at the tail end of the race. The guys were showing space all night long. It's a tricky race, and it always is. And now I'm going to rehydrate after this race, but from a shoe.
Saying there's no hiding this. Say Boom and I are watching, and there's a shoe and there's liquid, and it is being emptied out into his mouth. So yeah, so if you haven't seen it before, check out Daniel Ricciardo, and then we got Scott Rankin, fellow Aussie, doing the shoey.
Third one of the season too, boys. Like
it's a good job.
I started the season, I thought there wasn't going to be a single one of these. I was going to probably do a shoey for a podium. So that's turned around real quick.
Yeah, so your wife's probably okay with that. So just stick with the wins, and so the problem is you're going to have to figure out how to step it up if you get that championship here. So you got 2 to go there. Won't put the pressure on you. Say just enjoy this one, and then focus forward on those next 2 after this one, man. But yeah, great job tonight, Scott. Well earned finish. It was a great fight with you and Nick there at the end. So yeah, enjoy this one, man.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great night.
All right, Boomer. So that is our race winner in that number 156 of Scott Rankin. He, like I said, I told you to going into this, like he's gonna be a fun interview. If we get the opportunity to do so, and luckily we were able to, because he's just a fun character to chat with and be a part of. So, but yeah, I gotta thank you so much for being a part of this one here tonight with us, with me over here at Green White Checkered TV. Like I said, hopefully we can do a lot more, as well as it'll be fun to see if we can kind of get your feet wet in some more races. I know you got some stuff to take care of over the next week or so, but yeah, just let me know when you're ready, and looking forward to doing some more racing with you here.
Yeah, definitely appreciative for the opportunity. It was fun. It was definitely an eventful race. A lot of different strategies going on. Some people, saving some fuel at times, and cautions coming out, changing strategies. Some people working their way back up through the field, and yeah, it was great to be a part of it, and hopefully the first of many races. So appreciate the opportunity, Gael, to commentate alongside you tonight, and yeah, like I said, a lot of fun. Hope to do plenty more in the future.
Of course, always got to thank everybody here watching on Green White Checkered TV. We wouldn't be able to do this without the viewers, so thank you all so much, and saying don't be shy if you're watching. Feel free to add into the commentary chat over with us. We'll try to do our best to respond as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it tonight. We'll be back on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Truck Series. Playoffs have already begun there. We'll be back over at Talladega on there. So until then, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And of course, if you can, stay safe. Steve, we miss you. Love you, buddy. Hopefully you get back full health again soon, because definitely want to have you back in the booth as well. So thinking of you, man. And yeah, take care, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you all on Thursday.